Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to make a dessert with some Hawaiian rolls. We are going to start a series on here just to get some different ways you can use Hawaiian rolls. And some of these recipes are going to be savory, some of them are going to be sweet. The first one we're going to start on is cream cheese Danish. And what you're going to do is you're going to take a 12 pack of rolls, and you are going to basically cut squares in each one, and you're just going to poke that bread down in the rolls, just like I did already. I placed this on a baking sheet. I sprayed it with a little bit of cooking spray because I just didn't, I was a little bit afraid it may stick. And I lined my cookie sheet with, or baking sheet with foil. You don't have to do that. You can do parchment paper as well, or you don't have to do it at all, but I would suggest doing something because we're going to use some butter and brown sugar, and those things tend to stick quite a bit. So I've already done this with the rolls. We're going to set them aside because we have some other things that we're going to do before we finish this up. Make sure that your oven is preheated to 350, that it's good and hot and ready to go. And we're going to move on over on the other side of the stove and heat up our brown sugar and butter. Okay, y'all. So you're going to need about 3 tablespoons of butter. You're going to put them in a saucepan on the stove. I'm going to cut this on just low for now. We need about a tablespoon of brown sugar. Tablespoon of brown sugar, and a little bit of cinnamon, and you're going to do about a half a teaspoon of that. Now usually I eyeball these seasonings, herbs, spices, the whole thing, but with some of them we need to kind of be very careful because we can overdo it. And cinnamon for me is one of those. So you just need a small saucepan, and you're going to melt the butter and the brown sugar and the cinnamon all together, and then we are going to brush this over the rolls. And really you're going to brush it over and into the holes on the rolls of the whole thing. And then we've got some cream cheese, sugar, and vanilla that we're going to put together in a bowl, and that is going to be our filling, and that's literally it. I'm going to pop it in the oven. It's done. So get my bowl ready for that. Alright. So we're going to melt this. I'll be right back with you once I get it melted. And then we'll start on the cream cheese mixture, and then we'll try to do it all at one time. I'll be back in a few. Okay, y'all. So while that is dissolving, because we have to get that butter, cinnamon, and sugar, all that to dissolve in the butter itself, I'm going to combine 1 8-ounce brick of cream cheese. Let me check my measurements. 3 tablespoons of sugar and a teaspoon of vanilla. Let's see if I can do this with a whisk. You're going to combine this until it's smooth. And this is going to be your filling for your rolls. Okay. All smooth and ready. Okay. Got that all done. Sorry if I got out of range of the camera, but it's kind of hard to do sometimes. Now you could do this with a hand mixer, but I figured I've softened my cream cheese just a little bit. It needs to be at least room temperature, but you can put it in the microwave for anywhere from 20 to 40 seconds and it'll soften it. Don't use whipped cream cheese. This needs to be like the regular 8-ounce brick. And so I've got this ready. So we need to get our rolls and get started. Alright. First thing you're going to do, let me move this a little bit. Oops. All right, there we go. First thing you're going to do, let's turn this around. There we go. And we are going to take this mixture and we are going to, your brown sugar butter mixture, you're going to put it all over these rolls. What I would do is kind of just do your best to get a little bit on each one, and then we can always go back if it's not enough. 12 pack of Hawaiian Rolls. You're going to poke holes in the center of each roll. You can separate these, you don't have to keep them together. I just figure for me it'd be easier to keep them together. Most likely not. I'm sure somehow, some way I'm gonna mess it up. But we're gonna get through it together. Okay. So I'm just trying to make sure every one of these has got a little bit of cinnamon mixture on it. And that's pretty much it. Okay, y'all. So I got that done. And I'm going to take about a heaping teaspoon. And I'm going to try to get it down in the little square that I made. Spoon some of this off. I made it a little too much. Now as it melts in the oven, it's going to go down in there. But I don't know if that's enough. So I'm going to poke this little hole, make this hole just a little bit bigger on some of these. Because 8 ounces of cream cheese seems like a little bit too much, honestly. I'm sorry. Just kind of shove them down in there a little bit. Shove them down in there. Kind of open them up a little bit if you have to, that helps. Okay. I just feel like it's not enough. So we're going to put just a little bit on top of these. Just don't want to make a big mess. Okay. Still got some left over. Let's see if some of these can use a little extra help. Like this one. Kind of shove it down in there just a little bit more. Okay, I'm gonna stop, I think. All right, 350 degrees, 15 to 18 minutes. They're gonna be golden brown and the filling is gonna be set. So I'm gonna stick these in the oven. My oven is preheated 350 degrees and it's hot, so it's ready to go. And we're going to start on our next little dessert that we're going to make with these. Okay, y'all, so this is the finished product. It did really good. It didn't get too brown, and I was a little bit worried that the cream cheese would run everywhere, but it didn't. It stayed put. So these are hot enough, toasty enough, brown enough to be served. If you feel like they're not, especially the ones closer to the center that probably is still a little bit wet or too wet, I would just probably separate these outer ones because they definitely are too brown to go back in there, and just cook those for like another couple minutes in a hot oven. Literally a couple of minutes. Okay, y'all, so this next video is called Hawaiian Rolls, Cinnamon Rolls. This is a little bit different take on the whole thing. Our last one was a cream cheese Danish. This one is cinnamon rolls. So it's a little bit different. You may see some similarities, but just ignore those because it isn't the exact same. So you need a stick of butter softened in a small bowl. You're going to need half a cup of brown sugar. And you're going to need about 1.5 tablespoons, which I'm going to try to eyeball it, of cinnamon. Ooh, I'm just going to try to just do a little. Okay. Ooh. Alright, so hand mixer, or you can use a whisk. I'm using a whisk. Get that little bit there. Okay. Well, let me go get the rolls. Okay, so you're going to take your 12 rolls and you're going to slice them horizontally. Of course, I, did the best I could. It's not very even, but it'll work. You're going to take so you're going to take your cinnamon, sugar mixture, butter mixture, and about 2/3 of it you're going to drizzle on the bottom half of these buns. Now this one is fairly easy, this recipe, which all of them will be. But we got to make a glaze, and that's like no trouble at all. You just have to make sure your liquid dry ratio is, it's the right ratio. That's all. So really this, and then we're going to add the top of the rolls. I'm just trying to make sure I have cinnamon everywhere. Okay. Let me go get these train wrecks over here that I destroyed, basically. And we're going to put these on. And yes, I destroyed them. I wasn't trying to, but it kind of just happened. I'll try to see if I can do this right. It's probably not right, but close enough. Then you're going to take, make sure y'all can still see. You're going to take the rest of your cinnamon sugar mixture, the last third of it. I'm going to drizzle all over the top of these. So I had a pack of these buns, and I didn't know what to do with them, so I was like, you know what? I'll just do this. So just a neat little way to use them besides the usual way. Just trying to make sure it's all over them, and then I used all this up. Okay, now you're going to bake these for 15 or 20 minutes, and then when they come out, we'll make the glaze, and that'll be the end of that. All right, I'll see you back here in 15. Okay, y'all, so while we're waiting on the rolls to come out of the oven, we're going to go ahead and make the glaze. In a small bowl, you're going to need a cup of powdered sugar. We're going to use 2 tablespoons of milk, if I can find my mixing spoons. And you're going to need a teaspoon of vanilla. So I'm going to go ahead and put the vanilla in. This, it can't get screwed up per se, but it can get to where you have tons of glaze because you keep getting the ratio between the wet and the dry not right. So what I would do, because a lot of things can affect this, humidity in there, things like that, I would go by whatever the recipe says first, and then that was 2 tablespoons of milk. Then I would see how thin the glaze was, and if it wasn't thin enough, I would just add a touch more milk, and I mean literally a touch. Just a little tiny splash of it. If it's too liquidy, you're gonna add a little bit more sugar, but most of the time is, in my case, it's not been liquidy enough. And it'll also thicken a little while it's waiting to be used, so you also have that. Okay, it's a little bit too thin, but I'm just gonna let it sit for a minute and hopefully it'll thicken. But your glaze needs to sort of be like a cake batter consistency. Not thick like that, but kind of like where it'll kind of pour. But that's it. It's real simple and easy. Just a little bit of milk, a little bit of vanilla, and then we're ready to put these on our cinnamon rolls. Now, the cinnamon rolls take 15 to 20 minutes to bake. You're going to want them warm and toasty. So keep an eye on them because they can burn quite easily with the butter on them. And as soon as they come out, you're going to want to go ahead and put the glaze over them while they're warm. So don't let them get too cold or anything like that. And that'll be it. That's all it is to it. I'll be right back as soon as they come out of the oven. Okay, y'all, so these are out of the oven. And while they're still hot, I want to drizzle all this on there. So I'm just going to start drizzling. And it's just that easy. Super simple, and now we're going to move on to some more Hawaiian roll recipes. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to do a real quick, hopefully real quick, recipe. This recipe is called hot chicken salad sliders, and this is just after the holidays is when this is being filmed. So I'm trying to find some real easy, quick things to do, not necessarily with leftovers, but just something to where I'm just trying to find something to where I don't have to do a lot of cooking. So I took 1 large chicken breast and about half of another, which, I mean, to me it totals up to be more than 2 cups of chopped chicken. I just boiled them, chopped them, because I'm going to make some hot chicken salad, and we're going to put them on these Hawaiian rolls and pop them in the oven. So it shouldn't take long. Just a little bit of mixing and prep work, and you should be there. So I got some chicken breast, cooked chicken breast chopped up, and some chopped celery. And we're going to put in a little bit of salt. I'm just going to do about a half a teaspoon or so. You can do it to taste though. Okay, and some pepper. And well, let's do our Worcestershire sauce next. You're going to need about a teaspoon's worth of this. You can measure if you're more comfortable with that, but I can just eyeball it until, you know, it's about enough. Then you're going to need about 3/4 cup of mayonnaise. Now, I did do a little bit more. This is a little bit more than 2 cups of chicken. So I'm going to stir it up and see if that's enough mayonnaise. If not, I'm going to have to add some more. Yeah, I'm probably going to have to add a little bit more. It's probably going to be closer to a cup. Let me get another spoon, and a clean spoon. And put a couple heaping extra tablespoons of that mayonnaise in there. Yep, that's enough. Okie dokie. So this was chicken breast, celery, salt, pepper, Worcestershire sauce, and mayonnaise. I'm going to just do a little bit extra Worcestershire sauce to make sure we have enough. Because we're trying to make it where it's not too bland. And then I'm going to stir all this up. You need to preheat your oven to 350 degrees. And I've already got the bottom part of my rolls ready. Make sure y'all can see them. Alright. So, we are going to put a little bit of chicken salad on each one of these. And you can't overdo, so you need to be careful. About a tablespoon or a little bit of a heaping tablespoon is just enough, because these rolls are little. Now you can always kind of like just dump it on there and then kind of spread it out, because you are going to cut these with a knife when they come out of the oven. And I'm hoping I'm going to have a little bit left. I can make some more, but I'll do that off camera. Looks like a mess, but bear with me. Main thing is don't overstuff. You want just enough. Enough for about 2 or 3 bites. And I'm just going to serve this today with some chips. Because like I said, I'm trying to not do so much today. My favorite chicken salad is a chicken salad made directly from chicken breast, not the canned chicken. I do tend to eat that more or make that more just because it's easier. But chicken that you have to cook is way better to me. Okay. Now, this would have been so much easier with sliced cheddar, but the recipe calls for shredded. I'm not really sure why. But we are going to go ahead and I've got some shredded cheddar, so I'm just going to kind of sprinkle some of this on our rolls. And you don't want to overdo. A small little pinch is enough, but you can do slices. You can either get the really small, I think Sargentos, it's a mouthful, make the little small slices. You can do that, or you can get the sandwich type slices and just kind of lay over everything, and then that way when you take them out you can just cut and it'll be fine. That's what I typically do. Okay, so this is ready. Okay, and of course I do not know where any of these tops go, so typical me, just just gonna pop them on. Get all this on here. Okay. Now, kind of squish them down just a little bit. Okay. So, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to move over to the stove, which we're already at the stove, but move over a little bit where you can see. And we're going to combine our glaze that goes over top on the stove first, and then we're going to pour it over. All right, let me move the camera. Okay, y'all, so I'm going to put some butter in a pan on the low heat. And then you're just going to bring this to a boil. Give me a second. Let me get a spoon. Alright. So you're going to need a couple of tablespoons. So some butter, a couple tablespoons of brown sugar, some more Worcestershire sauce, which is going to be a tablespoon. Okay. And a tablespoon of Dijon mustard, which you know I always keep that on hand because I use it in a lot of recipes. Okay. And some sesame seeds. You're going to need about 1.5 teaspoons. Okay. Let me get a whisk. All right. So all we have to do is get this combined and melt this butter that ironically was sitting out on my counter. I keep my buttered bowl out on my counter, and it is so chilly right now that it doesn't matter. It's still hard. So we're gonna melt that. Gonna bring it to a boil, then we're gonna pour over the sandwiches. Then we just put them in the oven for 20-30 minutes. I'm probably gonna cover them in foil. The recipe doesn't state anything about that, but y'all know by watching me, I burn these things, so they get way too brown. Okay, y'all. So, glaze was brought to a boil, and I'm just going to lightly pour this over everything, and then go back with a rubber spatula, just kind of make sure everything's covered really well. The glaze is what makes it, so you definitely need to do that. You can leave out the sesame seeds if you don't have any. After COVID and how I couldn't find any, I went on Amazon and ordered some. That way I always had it. So that could be an option for you. Real easy. And if you're going to make 2 packs of these, I was able to get enough glaze just by mixing it up for one recipe. So that worked. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try my best to cook these and not let them burn, because every single time, I mean, y'all watched me make these many times, not this recipe, but many slider recipes, and I burn them. I probably should have done something more to protect them this time. I think I may try to put them on a sheet pan or something, because these are glass bakeware. Maybe that's the problem. I don't know. But we'll be back. Cook them till they're brown and toasty on top, per your liking, and the cheese is melted. I'll see you back here in about 20 to 30 minutes. Okay, y'all. 30 minutes later, we're all done, and all you can see is the chips. Okay, so see how they browned on top, and then Let me see if I can do this without destroying them. All done. All done. Super gooey, melty, yummy. Here, let me turn them this way. Maybe you can see better. They're going to taste great. Everybody's going to love them. These are a little bit different than ones I've made before. And the fact that they have brown sugar in them. I don't remember ever putting brown sugar in my glaze for sliders. So, hoping these are going to be a hit. And I just paired them with some chips. And that's it. All done. They can eat. And I didn't waste too much energy. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do our final slider recipe, or I'm sorry, Hawaiian roll recipe. These are going to be sliders. Again, pulled pork and mac and cheese sliders. Sorry for the noise in the background. That's my dishwasher. I'm going to try to get through this without it making too much racket. Hopefully it won't disturb everybody. So you can get your own pork shoulder or pork butt roast and make your own pulled pork. But I went to Walmart and got some of this. And I also, for my mac and cheese portion, went and done this. So I heated both of them up or cooked them, whichever one, you know, whatever it needed. And so I did that to make our assembly quicker and faster. You can use boxed mac and cheese, but probably I wouldn't do it because it's going to dry it out a great deal. Unless you can prevent that from happening in some kind of way. I think even the recipe states to use prepared mac and cheese, so you could get that out of a deli as well. But like I said, I got the Stouffer's and I've already cooked it and everything. So all I have to do is assembly and then pop the sliders in the oven, then we're done. Alright, so what you're looking at right now is some butter that I'm melting. This is going to be the glaze that goes on top of the sliders. And then I'm going to bring you along for assembly on all of it. So I just decided to do it first. So if you're following along in the recipe and you're going to do it the way I did it, you would probably skip steps 1 and 2 and go straight down to 3 and start from there. Like I said, because I had bought some of the things already cooked or prepared. Okay, so butter, you're going to need butter for your glaze. You're going to need a couple tablespoons of brown sugar. And it does call for poppies. And I don't have any of those, but I'm sure we can leave them out. It's not going to be that big a deal. So 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. And then a tablespoon of Dijon mustard. Tablespoon of that. And you're going to use a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. And that always does a real good job of flavoring. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to cook this until it boils. I'm going to mix it together with a whisk. And I've got it on medium-high heat. So you don't have to continuously stir. You just need to keep up with it. Make sure that it doesn't scorch. And like I said, that's going to be our glaze for the top of everything. So I'm going to go ahead and move the camera and get set up for assembly. And I'll come back to you when it's time to assemble. We're going to do this. We're going to cook this until it boils. And then it'll be time to put it on the sandwiches. Okay, y'all. So we're going to go ahead and start while we're waiting for that to boil. And I'm not even going to have to drizzle any barbecue sauce or anything. So this is like the perfect idea for this because it's got the sauce on it, it's got the meat on it, it's cooked. And I think these were like $7 a piece. Something like that. So we're gonna spread the barbecue on everything. And then we'll put the mac and cheese on there. Like I said, mac and cheese is already cooked. And I definitely did not cut these even. So there's that. Big shocker, I know. Look at this. Maybe just a little bit more right here. And I think that'll be fine. Okay. All right. Okay, let me get this off the stove, off the burner. And then we're going to put our mac and cheese on. Barbecue and cheddar, it's always good. And I wasn't sure what size mac and cheese to get, so I just got the family size. I just figured whatever's left the kids can eat, so it's not that big a deal because they love this stuff. We have it every holiday, so I don't have to make mac and cheese. It's one less thing I have to do. Oops. Okay, so let's get our tops back on here. Okay. Macaroni fell out. Okay. I'm just going to take a little bit of this and drizzle just a little bit over the top. And I did spray this with a little bit of cooking spray to help prevent sticking. Okay. And I'm going to make some more, so I'm going to put that on there. Let's see. Preheat your oven. And we should have already done this. 350 degrees. This is a 9x13 pan that I sprayed, like I said before. We got all prepared meat and mac and cheese. So all we had to do was actually separate the rolls, of course, and then cook the glaze that goes over top. And then we're going to bake them. You're going to bake them for 20 to 25 minutes until they're brown and crispy. You just need to keep an eye on them because they can burn very easily and very quickly. Okay, I'll see you back here in a few. Okay, y'all, so finished product. Smells amazing. I'm trying to show you the side of it without dumping this all out. I paired it with some deviled eggs. And I know another blah, blah, blah. I know another good addition or side dish for this would be like corn on the cob or potato salad. Something that you would put with barbecue. I don't think there's anything else that I would pair with it. But you can always go with some like, you know, broccoli with cheese or something like that as well. But you already got the cheese with the macaroni. But make sure that you watch this so that it doesn't burn, because it will come very, very close to burning. Okay? Make sure you like and subscribe. I'll see you next time.